Okay, so here's the thing. We got to talk about entitlement. This has been a huge curse on the planet since the beginning of time. And, it really pisses me off when people talk about millennials, people of my generation, that are spoiled brats and we're entitled. Okay, first of all, we're not the only ones that have that sense of entitlement. And it's not necessarily our fault that we feel that way. Okay, number two. But there are people of all ages, all races and creeds that have this sense of entitlement. All right. And just because you're an old person does not make you right. All right. Let's get that idea out of your head in the first shot. You've been around longer. You've got a lot of life experience. So the percentage and the chances of you being more right than I am most of the time are higher. I'll give you that. But I've met a lot of creepy people who are older than me, and a lot of stupid people that are older than me, and that does not make them right. So let's just clear the way. You are not given anything in this life just because. All right, let's get that first and foremost. People need to work, all right? Most people don't want to work. I'd rather not work if I didn't have to. But here's the thing with working. It builds your self-esteem whenever you actually accomplish something and finish it. And the problem with entitlement and being handed things is it actually will deflate your self-esteem. I was one of those kids. I was what you'd call a cake eater. All right, I grew up in the 90s when life was good, and all I had to do was ask for something for Christmas or my birthday, and I got it. On my 18th birthday, my dad gave me a car. All right, I was one of those people. Did I appreciate it? No, not at all. Because I didn't have to work for it. It didn't hold any value to me. All right, and that's what ticks me off so much about society today, is you got people growing up with this idea that they can be anything, that they can do anything, all, and just have it handed to them. But that's not true. You have to work for something, if for no other reason than to build your own self-esteem and build your own purpose and to find what you're fighting for every day. Everybody should be fighting for something. Otherwise, why are you getting out of the bed in the morning? Seriously. There have been so many cases of depression with my generation. So many of my friends are fighting this disease. I'm one of them. I've got depression. I've got borderline personality disorder. That's a chemical imbalance. Since I've received medication, I've been doing a lot better. But there's a lot of people that don't. And it's a chronic, sometimes fatal condition, and it's serious. And it's caused from, well, there's a lot of things it's caused by. Let's be fair about that. But I've come to find that most people my age grew up in that period of entitlement. So what happens whenever an entitled person figures out that they don't get the world on a platter? Boom. Self-esteem shattered. Sense of self shattered. What do I do with my life? That's the real reason these people aren't caring about anything anymore. That's the real reason for apathy. They don't have to care because they were never taught to care about anything. And that's why we're so disloyal with our employers and why we just pick up and move from job to job and relationship to relationship, because we don't have that sense of commitment that was ingrained into our parents and our grandparents. Because, again, we were just handed stuff. So, I don't know. I'm kind of ranting a bit today. That's my pregnancy hormones and brain going off, I suppose. But that's been driving me crazy for a long time, is that whole entitlement epidemic. It drives me crazy. And I don't think a lot of people realize that that's what's happening to them. So, and what to do about it, for another thing, because really the only way to cure that is to have a life-altering experience that finally makes you realize that you are not the be-all and end-all. And what's sad is that most people like that are the greediest, most selfish pigs I've ever met on the planet. And they don't even realize it. I think that if you are going to do something, if you're going to create, if you're going to write, if you're going to perform, whatever that art is that you love, playing football, playing a sport, writing a book, creating a delicious gourmet meal, whatever that art form is, whatever your being is that you love, you should do it to make yourself and other people happy. Probably more so to make other people happy, to be honest. Because that's where you get your biggest drive, is when you do something out of a charitable heart and out of service. I know some of the most hardened, callous people. And yet, whenever they are doing a service for somebody else, that's whenever their true being comes through their eyes. And they're touched in a way. And I think that's what it's about, honestly. You wake up and you decide you're going to make the day for somebody else instead of yourself. And I think that that's probably a good key for that. So, but my kids are calling me now. It's bedtime. It's late. That's why I'm looking haggard and ragged. And I don't care because I'm a mom. And that's a mom's life. So, you can take that for what it is. Tell me what you think about that. I'd like to see if anybody wants to share that and see what you think as far as, how has entitlement affected you? And do you feel that way? Do you feel like that's something that's poisoning our society? Anyway, what do you think?